Joining us right now, Scott Ramsey, President and CEO of the Music City Bowl. Scott, I gotta be honest. Back when we were checking boxes back in high school about what we want to do for a living, nowhere on it said President and CEO of a bowl game. My calling, and I don't know how. But here you are. You certainly found it, and the Music City Bowl is definitely an exciting, one of the exciting bowl games coming up here in just a couple weeks.
Well, you're right. There wasn't a box to check on that in the early '80s when I was in college. But it's been a blessing to be here in Nashville. I've been here 30 years now, and was able to see our city really transform. And sports has been a big part of that. And in the late '90s, it changed when we built our what's now Bridgestone Arena and Nissan Stadium, and had an NFL and NHL team, and the bowl game was kind of born out of that mission of really trying to figure out ways to maximize the use of our brand new stadium. And it's way exceeded expectations, to be honest with you. I think we've been very upfront about, hey, we started it because it was a time of year where we weren't really getting any tourism business, and we could use the stadium to bring fans in, follow their team. And you only had a 3-hour meeting or the 3-hour game to attend to, but you could visit the Broadway and hotels, and economically it was an opportunity. And now to see where we've come, and this will be our 27th game. It's pretty special to kind of be able to look back occasionally and see where we've come from.
Well, the small market research that I've done, and we cover Mizzou on a daily basis here, is talking to Missouri fans. My friends, people that follow the program are, oh, well, where's Missouri going to go? Like, I don't know. Okay, Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. That's a tough one to get to around New Year's. And as soon as it comes up, Music City Bowl, Nashville, that say it's Nashville. Of course I'm in. I'm sure that's kind of the market research you and your team have discovered over the years, in the 27 years of having this bowl game, is, hey, it's Nashville. From a lot of SEC schools, even some Big Ten schools. It's drivable. It's after Christmas. It's before New Year's. To me, this is a perfect date and a perfect time and a perfect setting.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, I again, kind of reflecting back a little bit, I would say 10, 15 years ago, we really saw kind of travel styles and trends change. It went from, man, I want to go and spend a week in Phoenix and Miami and wherever for bowl games, to, man, a nice 3 or 4 day getaway where we can hop in the car and be home at Christmas and be home for New Year's if we want, or stay in New Year's if we want. Turned into be kind of the model that people were really attracted to. I think you saw Atlanta do that with the ACC, SEC, and now in Nashville here, we're seeing the same thing with the SEC and the Big Ten, where we've got a lot of schools that can hop in a half day, get here, car, direct flights, and really kind of still be home for the holidays, but still come for 3 or 4 days. So I think we've kind of filled that kind of niche, and geographically, it's a perfect fit for our city. And I think just the attractiveness of our city as a destination has really changed, obviously through sports and entertainment and music, really gives the fans a great opportunity to come and enjoy our city for a few days and root on the Tigers.
We'll talk about kind of the selection process. Obviously, things have changed with the college football playoff, and then some of the pecking order. We've got these 6 pool of bowl games for SEC schools to go to, speaking specifically to the SEC. And so when that happened, we've got 3 teams in the SEC in the college football playoff, and then it kind of goes from there. So just kind of talk about how the selection process took place. A lot of the rumors out of the gate were Missouri, Michigan. Michigan winds up going to play Alabama, trying to put those 2 brands next to each other, but you wind up with Missouri, Iowa, 2 schools that, this is crazy, Scott, have only played each other once in the last 100 years.
Yeah, that was something that we were surprised about as well when we started kind of looking at the possible matchups, and think about bordering states only playing one, and 2 major universities in Iowa and Missouri only playing once since 1910 was pretty unbelievable at first. The process has really changed as well. I think the overall mission, or the easiest way to describe it, is really, I think the collaboration effort between the schools, the conference office, speaking of the SEC now, and those 6 pool cities, really try to weigh in collaboratively to try to figure out each year what's the best model in the best city, and do the best you can. We're trying to kind of match that up. Obviously, we're trying to present some different trips for fans, so you don't try to stack on repeats the best you can avoid over a 2 or 3 year period. Trying to give the players a different city to travel to. You've got NFL stadiums in about all of them, so you've got great destinations, and then great opponents. And with us having the Big Ten, it gave that opportunity. So obviously, it's the first time we've had Missouri. That was important to us as we were looking at kind of who could have been the options to us. It's always great to catch somebody that's had kind of an uptick at the end of the season. And also you just, a nine win season in the SEC, back-to-back 9 or 10 win seasons in this league is something really for Coach Drinkwitz and everybody to be really proud of. And we're excited about hosting them for our first time here.
What are the challenges when it comes to bowl games these days? Because it just seems like, and you've heard, this is something you hear all year long. We've got opt-outs. Missouri's got NFL players going to the draft. So does Iowa. They're running back. And not only that, but with this 12-team college playoff, the emphasis put on that. I am a bowl purist, Scott. So I still lock into these bowl games. I watched the LA Bowl last night until about midnight local time here. So I'm still a bowl purist. I know there's challenges. So what are some of those that you guys face?
There is. I think really since COVID, I would say, if you think about, I kind of think of it in our contract cycle. So we had a 6-year contract cycle we signed in 2019, and think about all the changes in college football since then. Obviously had COVID and it affected everybody, every step of life. So not just football, but we're talking about the bowl. So, we had actually Missouri, Iowa that year. It got canceled.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, we had a bombing downtown that year of somebody, so we had a lot of really weird stuff that you want to forget about that year. So then you move on and you've added massive conference realignment. You've had massive changes in the transfer, expansion of the transfer and opt-out portals. Then you've had also this addition of the 12-team playoff that everybody's focused on making and the importance of making it there. And if you just miss, like Missouri did, and like Alabama and Ole Miss and South Carolina, from our standpoint, then we're moving into that next day or that day of trying to figure out a way to kind of recreate excitement for the fans. So I think things are really going to get probably, reset a little bit here in 2 years, when the new contract cycle comes in. It's just a lot of changes. You think about the no more Pac-12, and that impacted the whole system. You think, well, it could have just impacted where they play. Well, no, it impacted the other side of the game as well, in the cities who are already kind of within their TV contracts, stadium lease deals, title sponsors. So it's really been a disruptive postseason structure for the last 2 or 3 years. I think from our standpoint, we've just tried to kind of do the best we can about promoting Nashville, promoting the matchup. It's a great trip. You can have fun here. You can follow your team. You can wear your colors. We're a great 3 or 4 day trip. If you want to stay for New Year's Eve, it's one of the best in the world. So you have a lot of options, and we're really kind of thinking our city's the star in this particular game. And again, you've got a quality opponent, regardless of who it's going to be on the Big Ten side. We know the SEC and the Big Ten are going to bring high quality opponents. So that's kind of where we are right now. I think what you're seeing is the other thing that I would overlay in there. When you're only running, or you only have the one game a year, the dynamic ticketing world, it has really changed attendance. Whereas, used to kind of really work on selling tickets. Boy, that ticket was sold, that seat was most likely filled. You could have some no-shows, but it was going to be filled. Now, that same ticket can turn hands 3 or 4 times. And so it's really hard to kind of get that uplift, on to get to a full stadium. So I think all those things are going to kind of shake out here in the next couple of years, and we'll see kind of how that overall postseason is going to be structured. And that's really on the table of the commissioners right now to see them and CFP kind of where that's going to go. So, again, we're excited about where we are in Nashville. We got a brand new stadium coming. You'll see it partially constructed. It's out of the ground. Be ready for 27. So we think we've got a very bright future ahead. But this particular year, we're excited about having Missouri for the first time.
I'm excited about making the trip, Scott. Can't wait to cover the game. And I'll tell you, as far as the last I saw, Missouri had sold out of its allotment of tickets, and I think maybe Iowa has as well. So you talked about the ticket structure and things of that nature. So the schools have their allotments, and I think they're sold out. But then what percentage of locals just go to the game for the sake of it? And what kind of a crowd in general would you be expecting for this?
That's a good question. The another thing kind of changed from our side of the negotiating table was that the team allotments really went lower, which gave us a lot more flexibility in that. I think what you've seen, and again, the difference in a 40 or 45,000 attended game and a 60 is usually the local alumni base in the respective cities. We're really fortunate here in Nashville. We've got a lot of big alumni bases, especially in the SEC. We see that at the SEC men's tournament that we also host here every March. So, we'll see on that. I would say probably of the SEC schools in Missouri and then Iowa on the Big Ten side probably or have some of our smaller alumni bases based in Middle Tennessee. So I'm anxious to see how that response is because that's typically a late buyer response. Weather looked good. What are we doing that day? It is a good time slot. We're the only bowl game on Monday leading into Monday Night Football. So we're going to be on the spotlight, and we're going to do the best we can. And I know both teams are pushing it hard. I think they'll have a lot of fans here. I would expect out of the final attendance number, whatever that may be, to be a very high percentage of out-of-towners from Missouri and Iowa.
And last year, I think was it Clemson and Kentucky, right? That was one of the best games of the bowl schedule last year.
Yeah, no, last year we had Auburn, Maryland.
Okay.
But that's a good example. The Auburn alumni base here is really large, probably one of the largest outside of Birmingham and maybe Atlanta, which is, again, only a 3-hour drive away. So we saw a lot of late sales, like from today to the game date, from the Auburn local fan base. So I think that's kind of what you're seeing now with the dynamic price, and especially we can get a ticket anytime, just no matter how much you want to pay and where you want to sit. So it's changed the whole marketing aspect of the ticket marketing, to where it makes it really hard to kind of project. But, I fully expect Missouri to bring a great crowd. There'll be a lot of black and gold in the audience, no pun intended,
right,
on both sides. And I think we're going to get a great game on the field. I know the line's a 2 or 3 point line, I think, last time I saw. So we were expecting a competitive game and look forward to having all the fans in Missouri here for the first time.
Well, Scott, this is a kind of a chance to go more in depth on all the things you do as the president and CEO of the Nashville Sports Council. I was there for SEC Media Days back in 2023, and I'm pretty sure somebody there told me that 30% or something like that, 25% of the construction equipment in the world were in Nashville, Tennessee at that time. It created a bit of a headache of traveling down to the hotel, but that Nashville is, you talk about the new Titan Stadium. We know the Predators are a big deal. I mean, Nashville has just become this city that's ever growing. Everybody wants to go there. It's the bachelorette capital of the world, which is a good reason why I'll spend some time there just on a personal basis. This is just a good chance for you to just toot the Nashville horn. You're the president and CEO of the Nashville Sports Council. You guys are doing something right down there.
Well, thanks for saying that. Yeah, again, being here 30 years and to see the dynamic changes in our cities, just sometimes you got to pinch yourself. I think the quality of life here is spectacular. We're a friendly city. We're a welcoming city. And really, I think when you start thinking about it, from when we built the professional venues and attracted NHL, now we have MLS, NFL, and certainly Vanderbilt from the SEC, but also Belmont and Lipscomb and TSU and MTSU close. So it's a college town that has professional sports, and also you overlay the entertainment factor and the music factor. We've got one of those unique mixes of sports and entertainment that is pretty unique. And the quality of life is spectacular. So, we're fortunate, certainly. You always wish as a city, and this is probably on the mayor's plan, you wish you could always stay ahead of the infrastructure when you're going to grow, but it's impossible to do. But, you're right. I think the company's moving here from, we have a massive Oracle campus that's being built. They're relocating their headquarters, but you got Bridgestone Americas here and Nissan here, and just a lot of fabulous companies that are coming, and we're proud of that. On the sports front, the SC men's basketball tournament's locked in here for the next 10 years or so. Our St. Jude Rock and Roll Marathon, which we do, raises over $2 million in one day for St. Jude. So that's a tremendous event that we do. Our bowl game has been widely successful. And then certainly we just landed the FCS National Championship game, relocating out of Frisco as they redo their stadium for the next 2 years. So we'll be welcoming some new fan bases to town for a college football national championship. So we're certainly proud of our city, and I hope all the Missouri fans that come in that haven't been here will enjoy their 3 or 4 days here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Missouri, and with this new SEC schedule, I think Missouri goes to Nashville to play Vanderbilt next year. Then it's kind of up in the air. We're trying to figure out this scheduling, but definitely made the trip several times from Missouri playing at Vanderbilt, which is another stadium that looks like it's in the middle of a tremendous renovation. So more cranes there in Nashville. Kind of.
Yeah, the joke here is our state bird is now the crane. So.
I want to give you a chance too to talk about just your relationship, the Bowls relationship with transperfect, and how long has that been the sponsor, and kind of what can you tell people about transperfect?
Well, again, you think back to the COVID year, which was only 4 years ago. That was their first year of signing on. We'd had a longtime sponsor in Franklin American Mortgage, who merged with a bank and had to get out of the sponsorship. And transperfect reached out, and they're a company based in New York. They're a worldwide company with I think they said over 100,000 employees, and they're a translation company. So all kinds of international translation, from call centers to printed items to international support for businesses relocating. So they reached out, and really was an opportunity for them to entertain their employees and guests and customers. They'll have over 700 employees and guests and customers here this year for the game. They've been a tremendous partner, kind of riding through all these changes that we just talked about in the bowl system. And certainly it's a great branding opportunity for them. And we're very appreciative of their partnership for the last 5 years.
Well, this is going to be controversial, Scott, but it's for me, not you. I live in Kansas City, Chiefs fan. We got the Royals here, but I'm not the biggest Royals fan. This without going into too much detail. What I'm trying to do is get the Royals funneled to Nashville. So, because that's maybe the one thing missing right now for Nashville is baseball. What a great fit that would be. You've got the A's going to Vegas. I think Major League Baseball would be tremendous in downtown Nashville.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about it, and certainly I think Commissioner Manfred made a statement a few months ago about trying to get a lot of those things kind of settled in the next 4 or 5 years of his tenure. I think a couple things on that front, and we get that question a lot. I think looking back in how professional sports has kind of grown in our city, it really kind of came out of 3 elements, which is the key component regardless of which city. Obviously, a lead owner, a facility, and then the timing with the respective league on either relocation or expansion. So you have to line those 3 things up. And I'll give you the example of the MLS expansion bid. There were 12 cities. We were one of the 12. And then John Ingram, one of our best philanthropist families, stepped up and as a lead owner, and we won. We were the only expansion bid granted that year. So that changed the whole process, because he could lead not only the community's confidence in a stadium and why MLS was going to be important and be successful, but also really fit in with the ownership room in MLS in the bid. So, I think on the baseball front, I think there's a lot of moving parts still on that side until those 3 things kind of get aligned. We hear that a lot on the PGA Tour option as well. Finding the right date is probably more than the league thing. But what's the right date for a Mid-South kind of tournament? And where does it kind of fit in our annual calendar of what we've got going on here between the CMA fests and sporting events and all kinds of things? So, I think a lot of that is just kind of still to be determined. But I do think, down the road, we're certainly going to be a destination that's going to be very much in the consideration.
This is Scott Ramsey, President and CEO of the Music City Bowl, coming up here, the transperfect Music City Bowl coming up on December 30th, Missouri and Iowa, Big Ten versus SEC. Last thing, before we let you go, you've been so generous with your time. Do you ever foresee a world, and you talk about how this is restructuring could be occurring for bowl games, that there could be some sort of way that bowl games or that work with sponsors or work with NIL from the schools that maybe ensure some of the bigger stars play in these games? Is that something you've ever foresee coming up here?
You know, I'm deferring that answer to the conferences, really.
Mm,
Because right now our business relationship, if you want to boil that down, is with the SEC and the Big Ten. And so right now our payment goes to them. They figure out how they want to share the money and
right.
how they want to kind of provide Missouri with travel. However, they kind of every conference does it differently. So I think the compensation or the opt outs or the transfer portals or the employment issue, and you got to finish all season, includes postseason, all those kind of conversations that are out there, I think are part of why I think things will be shaped a little differently in 26. I don't have the answer to that because they've got to really decide that in that room of 16 members in
Mm,
the SEC office. I view us or think of us more as just the hosts of their event, so some degree. Yes, we're putting it on. Yes, we're raising the money. Yes, we're guaranteeing payouts. Yes, we're kind of operating the game, but the product is still coming from the SEC and the Big Ten. So without their partnership, we've got no game. So I think I'm going to defer that back to how they want to model postseason, and I'll probably start with how they're going to tweak, if they tweak the CFP. Will 12 stay at 12? Will it go?
mm.
Will it grow? Will it not? Will we stay on campus? Will it not? The time frame for ESPN on the broadcast and the windows. So I just think there's a lot of still moving parts on that. And I think your question kind of is one of those on that list.
Absolutely. And we'll see how things kind of shake out as this ever changing landscape, Scott, as we call it here in college athletics, which is a little different than say it was 5 years ago. And we're all trying to navigate it. And we just can't wait for this game for Nashville. It gives me a good excuse to kind of get out of some family Christmas events and things like that. So this is just couldn't be more perfectly timed. So yeah,
Don't dodge those. Just hop in on the 26th and come down. So
no, I got a perfect setup. 28th, I have like a
I don't
family
want. I
Christmas.
get blamed for a lot of things. I don't want to be blamed on that when you missing your family Christmas.
Hey, nobody will miss me. It's fine, Scott. Thank you so much for your time. We will see you on the 30th and can't wait to do it, my friend.
Look forward to seeing you in Nashville, Clint, and
Yeah,
hope you have a Merry Christmas with the family.
you bet. All you guys too. Thanks so much.
All right.